many of you, but for those of you that I don't know, my name is Ken Pierson Jr., and my wife, Crystal, is also a dentist, and we have been serving in Saipan for the last 13 years. And we just moved back to California in July, and to be closer to the family and to let my dad retire. He's been holding out. He's been holding out for us, and so it's good. And I mean, it's great in many ways, and in some ways, we miss the islands. So it's good to be back to the islands now. So I just want to share a little bit. Saipan is a very well-established clinic, and it's been there for 45 years. It was established by Dr. Steve Fisher. Thank you. Dr. Fisher established the clinic back in 72, 73, somewhere in there. And some of you have actually been there and helped out and done a lot for the clinic. But rather than tell you a little bit, or tell you about the clinic, I wanted to share, there's a couple stories on how we saw God's leading, specifically in certain situations. I could go on with many stories, but for the sake of time, we'll keep it just down to a couple. So, to start off with, there was, the clinic director at the time was Richard Lutters, or some, we know him as Lutters, but he was actually the clinic director, and he was ready to retire. He was ready to go. And he had been in the clinic, and he and his family and everybody had been praying about who to have, come and take over. And he had planned, one of his big recruiting tools was to come to the NASDAD event and to share. He had a little slide presentation and to share something for Sabbath school. And he had talked to a couple people, but I don't think it really, somehow didn't quite get on the program, so he was quite disappointed. He had come to NASDAD to try to get the word out, but somehow they ran out of time, and he almost got cut, just like I almost got cut. But since you are all patient people, we're still going forward here. But so he didn't have a chance to talk, and my dad happened to be there at the meeting, and they got talking afterwards. But he didn't get to share that they were looking for a dentist and all that stuff. And he said, he shared a story basically. I'm here, but I didn't get to present, but we're looking for, somebody who can take over. And my dad goes, I have a son that his wife's just finishing dental school, and they're looking for somewhere to go when they're done. And I'd been in touch with Dr. Nick about, where to go, and the places that were open were, they need one dentist in Cameroon, they need one dentist in, St. Kitts, and, a couple different places, and nowhere could they take two. And both of us had debt and everything, and so I told Dr. Nick, after my dad told me that, this Saipan clinic has an opening and we might be able to, they could handle two. And I told Dr. Nick, he's like, they can handle two? Like, that's what he said. We did a little bit of checking, and next thing you know, we ended up in Saipan. And I think that happened, in a matter of 6 months or so. And so that was kind of the first kind of providential thing that happened for us. But then once we actually got there and started the work and continued on and everything, we had a long-time local dentist or a dentist that was nearing retirement, and he decided that it was time to retire. He let us know that he was going to be retiring, and it was just Crystal and I working at the time, and so we were a little bit panicked because it had been 3, and now it was going to go. And he had a huge patient base. And, it's very well established and everything. He's been there serving for 10 years. And so when he said that he was going to be retiring, we're like, oh no. So of course we let Dr. Nick know and started to kind of think of who might be available I have a friend that I had known for quite some time, and he had graduated in 2003, Mike Stafford, and he had been working in Zambia, and he had helped to establish the dental clinic in Lusaka. And they had a bit of a tough time, and they were having a tough go of it. The political, church politics was a little bit tough right then, and they were struggling, and they finally, after much prayer and everything, they decided that it was time that they were going to go back. They're going to go on permanent return. And so they had just submitted a letter of resignation to the division that they were going to be. They've been there for about four and a half years, I think. And they had just submitted this letter, and it just so happened that I emailed them and said, hey, we need somebody in Saipan. And I got this reply that said, we weren't really thinking of continuing mission service. We just submitted a letter 2 weeks ago that we're going to be heading back on permanent return. And I said, oh my goodness, you guys have to come to Saipan. And they said, well, then you can pray about it. And so that's what they did. And they prayed about it, and they felt like God opened all the doors for them to come serve in Saipan. And so that's what they did. They ended up coming to Saipan. We had been praying about having, what's going to happen, who's going to fill the spots and everything. And they had been praying about what they're going to do, and they'd been looking into all these different options of where they were going to go when they get back and what they're going to do. And it worked out. God had this plan, and it worked out that they ended up coming and serving in Saipan. They were there for 5 years. And another similar story, and this is kind of crazy when you think back how these things happen, and you realize that it's not just by accident. So, it happened at a NASDAD meeting. So what had happened is Dr. Warren Creed, who actually happens to be here this morning, who's actually, by the way, I think he is the longest active serving missionary dentist. And I think it's up to like 25 years, or maybe 26. And then he came back and did an ortho residency and everything. So they were in Japan for Okinawa for a number of years. And then they were actually he's an orthodontist, and they were serving in Guyana. And they had been there a couple of years, and were helping to try to get that clinic in Guyana going again. And they had plans to build a new clinic and everything, and things were going well. The only problem was that he wasn't doing any ortho. And he had tried to kind of, get the name that, but there just is not a lot of people that could afford orthodontics. And so they were really struggling with trying to get this orthodontic practice up and running. Well, it just so happened that we had an orthodontist that would come once a month from Guam to Saipan, and he had been doing that for 13 years. He had a private practice in Guam, and we had this special relationship where he would come out once a month, and he changed it to once every 6 weeks, trying to make it work a little bit better. But he would bring his team and everything, and he would take the clinic on Fridays, and he would do his ortho on Fridays. And that's basically how the people of Saipan, which does not have a big population, it's about 60,000 people, but that's how they would get the teenagers, or that's how they got their ortho, unless they were very prominent and were able to fly off island to get it done. But otherwise, it was through this Dr. Sajay. Well, he let me know. He's like, I'm just not able to keep this up. We're going to have to, I'm giving you plenty of notice here. I'm giving you 7-8 months notice, and, you are going, you're going to have to come up with something else. and I'm sorry, but just economically, the price of the tickets between Guam and Saipan have just been going up and up and up, and he just, like, he can't do it anymore. And so he let us know, and man, we're like, oh no, what's going to happen? We're going to have to, you know, everybody's going to have to fly to Guam. We're not sure what's going to happen. And so we started praying about it, and we had no idea. And just in typical normal conversation with that I had with my dad, I said, yeah, you know, Dr. Sajay let us know that he's not going to be able to come out anymore. So we got to figure that out and see what's going to happen. Well, my dad came to a NASDAD meeting, and at I think it may have been the prayer breakfast. I think it was the prayer breakfast at Loma Linda. And he sat down next to this guy who was sitting by himself, which happened to be Dr. Creed. And they got talking, and it comes out that he's an orthodontist, and that he's not really doing much ortho, and they have been really praying about where God could best use them. And so I got in touch with Dr. Creed, and you know, next thing you know, we were able to work out a transfer from Guyana to Saipan. And then he was able to actually transition with the orthodontist. And it seemed like this had happened after the fact, but it all happened before. So the orthodontist had let us know before we knew what we were going to do. He let us know that he's going to be leaving, and then we were able to find an orthodontist. And that was not an accident. That was purely divine intention, and it was just amazing to see how that actually happened and worked out, and how God led in that situation. When we were leaving this transition right now back to California, we weren't sure what was going to happen. You know, who's going to take over? And Dr. Creed was willing to take over, so he's running the clinic at this point. And then there were two young dentists recent grads, that felt the calling to go serve. And one is Dr. Kim Moon, and the other is Dr. Stephen Delgado. And both of them are now in Saipan serving and kind of filling the void. So it's amazing how God has always provided and just continues to lead. And I have one other story. I don't know if I'll just tell you this quick story. About 6 years ago, the little school, the church school that we had, which is a lot of times church school is for the church members' kids. This was not. This was a community school, a Christian school in the community that had a good reputation, but it was tiny. It was like in a little rundown house, and it was, you know, people loved it because it was like a family Christian school, and but the facility was atrocious, and it was just in bad shape. We had been looking and praying for a place to go with a previous principal that we had, and the principal was, actively looking and everything. Well, they left. The new principal that came in was just concerned about, let's just try to run the school, and let's not really look at expansion. Let's not look at, basically, that whole momentum kind of fell flat. And then about 2 years later, we heard of another Christian school on the island that was closing. And, I didn't really think that much about it. I didn't even know if it had actually happened. And then one day, we heard about it in June, and then one day in September, just completely out of the blue, I had this thought that, was, I believe, a thought given to me by the Holy Spirit, because, I just hadn't thought about it at all. And it was like, I wonder what happened to that school. And I felt prompted to just go and check. And it happened to be on a Friday afternoon. And so I just jumped in the car and ran down to the school, the old school that closed. And I went up, there was nothing going on, no students or anything, and I knocked on the door, door, and it was opened by somebody, and I went in and started talking to the man. It was the pastor, and he was, in the process of kind of cleaning up things there at the old school, and I said, "So what's going on with the school? Are you guys going to reopen? Are you just, how come?" He said, "No, we closed. The board decided to close the school, and we've turned what's owed on it, everything's back to the bank." And I said, "Really? So you're not going to open up?" And it's a beautiful facility. I mean, it's 14 rooms, 2 stories, and 12 classrooms, 1 office, and then 1 kind of cafeteria, and just offset from the main road. Beautiful. I mean, built to be a school. It was really, amazing. And, the thought, of course, is going through my mind. I'm like, what are they doing with the school? He said, so I asked, "What are you doing with the school?" He said, "Well, we don't know. It's not up to us. I can give you the name of the guy at the bank if you want to talk to somebody. Are you interested?" I said, "Well, I mean, yeah, maybe. I guess." So he said, "Well, here's the number." And so I called the guy, and he said, "Yes, it's been foreclosed on. It's for sale. We're looking for half what's owed on it." And what was owed on it was $800,000, and what they were asking for was $4 million. And through a series of miracles, I mean, there was so many different. Excuse me. There are so many different things that shouldn't have worked out. The cost should have been completely. We should have been able to afford that. There was a land lease issue, so it's something with the way you can't own land there, you have to lease it. And so there was something with that that was complicated, and just, through a series of divine interventions, we met with the landowner, we met with the bank, we actually had a good relationship with the bank, and this was not just the clinic that had a good relationship, it was the Guam Micronesia Mission, which the clinic falls under. And they were able, through, like I said, a series of miracles, we were able to afford that school. And we actually paid $250,000 for the school. And they built it for $1 million and something. It was amazing. And so that's where they are now. They are in that school. The school is doing very well. Enrollment has, I think, close to tripled because they have the space and they have the teachers, and it's just amazing to see how God can lead and how He has led. So to close, I just wanted to leave you with a quote. And it says, and I believe Ellen White said it. I don't have a page or number, but it says, "We have nothing to fear for the future, lest we forget how God has led us